Michael Rosen's Poetry Workshop. This poem is called Newcomers. Now, when I was growing up, there was a kind of mystery in my house, which is what happened to my dad's dad, the man who would have been my granddad, because he wasn't around and he hadn't died, but he was in America and we were living in North London. So why was he in America? And if I talked to my dad about it, he would be sometimes a bit sad and sometimes a bit grumpy. He'd say, I don't know, it's in America. So what had happened? And I began to understand that his mum and dad had split up. And my dad was born in America, and then his mum had brought him to England. So he was brought up in England, but he had been born in America, so he had been with his dad for the first year or two of his life, and then he never saw him again. So it was kind of mysterious, and I was a boy, so you'd ask questions, and my dad really didn't know. I could just see that it made him kind of cross and kind of sad. And then one day, something strange happened, and that's what this poem's about. And I'm going to read it to you, and then we'll talk about the kinds of things you could write. So it's called Newcomers. My father came to England from another country. My father's mother came to England from another country, but my father's father stayed behind. So my dad had no dad here, and I never saw him at all. One day in spring, some things arrived. A few old papers, a few old photos, and, oh yes, a hulky, bulky, thick-checked jacket that belonged to the man I would have called Grandad, the man who stayed behind. But I kept that jacket, and I wore it, and I wore it, and I wore it, till it wore right through at the back. So there's a little snapshot, if you like. You know what I mean by a snapshot, like a single photograph, a still photograph of something that happened. So I've set it up. That means I've told you the situation of Grandad, father's father staying away, not coming here. And then the little photograph bit is the fact of this thing arriving. So what's arrived? Let's have a look. It says a few old papers, a few old photos, and this hulky, bulky, thick-checked jacket. Oh, I remember that jacket. You sometimes see Americans wearing them. Great big checks. It was like dark grey and light grey. Maybe it's dark blue and dark grey. Big checks like that, with a big collar up there like that, and the buttons sort of across the chest. And I loved that jacket. I was about 15, I think, and I loved wearing it. It was fantastic. But I don't see it. I don't say that I love that jacket. I just say in the poem, but I kept that jacket and I wore it and I wore it and I wore it till it wore right through at the back. So there's something you can do in poems. You don't have to say that you love something or you hate something or it's driving you crazy or something like that. You can find another way to write it. So to show that I really, really liked it, what I've done is say, and I wore it, and I wore it, and I wore it. So that's what we call repetition. And repetition tells you things about your strength of feeling or how long a feeling is going on. So look out for repetition. They work very well in poems. So maybe you've got in your family something that is a bit mysterious, something strange, or maybe you've got a little snapshot. You've got one of these little still photographs of an event that goes round and round in your head where you go, well, why was that then? Why did that happen? And what did I do after it? Well, with me, it was wearing the jacket, wasn't it? Well, maybe with you, it's because you kept something. Maybe there was something special that came from one of your grandparents. Maybe you've got a little special thing that you keep in a box in your bedroom or something like that. So if you want to pick up from what I've said, which is about a grandparent, with you it could be a grandparent or a great-grandparent even, something maybe a little bit mysterious, something a bit loving that is a link between you and your grandparent, and you can focus on it. You know, I've called it the hulky, bulky, thick checked jacket. I love saying that. Hulky, bulky, thick checked jacket. So if you can find a way of describing this thing that you like and what you've done with it in a way that shows that you care about it and is a link to this person. Maybe there's a mystery, maybe not. Maybe the person is far, far away because you've moved to different places in the world or different places in the country even. You know, maybe you're living in Leeds and they've gone to Cardiff or something like that, and you're separated so you don't see them, and this is a way to remember them. So that's what I've got going in that poem as well. So there's quite a lot going on in one little snapshot. So see if you can think of a scene, a little snapshot, a little still photograph if you like, where there's quite a lot going on, and see if you can write about it in a way that reminds you, makes you think, makes other people think as well. All right? So that poem, Newcomers, you can find it in my book, On the Move, Poems About Migration, and it's also in another book I wrote called Quick, Let's Get Out of Here. So you can find it, you can see me looking around for that book. I can't find it for the moment. But anyway, so it's in two books, On the Move and in Quick, Let's Get Out of Here, and it's called Newcomers.